Welcome to my YouTube channel, guys. I hope you guys are doing well and enjoying my videos. So in this video, again, we'll continue the Python playlist and we'll understand the function in Python. So by end of this video, you will be very much familiar what is function and why we use function in Python. So let's get started. Let me share my screen. So I have created one new IPYNB file 15.function.ipynb and I'm going to write all the function related code over here. And after this session, I will push this code to the GitHub repo and I'll give the link into the description. You can download and refer this code. So now the question is, what is function in Python? So we are going to understand function. So it is very much to understand first what is function, why do we need a function, and how we write a code using a function. Okay, whenever we write a Python code, what is the purpose of that? Why we are learning a Python? So we are learning because we want to develop certain kind of a solution, or you can say software, that should perform based upon the predefined execution that has been mentioned in the code. In this situation, you will have a maybe 1,000 line of code, 2,000 line of code, or 10,000 line of code. And there will be certain codes that need to be write again and again and again. I mean that there is, let's say, sometime you need to handle a database configuration, or maybe you want to read or write a file. So every execution, or let's say, and certain points, you again and again writing or reading a file. So instead of writing that code again and again, it's something like a convert into a package and just call that package during the execution. What does it mean? So let's say that I have one code over here. Whenever user enter the input, we check number is even or odd. That is the code we want to write. So what we will do, let's say user input equal to, I'll write over here, let's say int, and then input, right? And over here, enter the number. Perfect. Now I want to write over here, let's say if my user input is equal to not equal to modular division by 2 is equal to 0, then we'll write over here print user input. Perfect. So I will write over a 45. It is not a even number, so it will not going to print. Or let's say we'll write over here else print not even. Perfect. 56, and we have this 56 over here. Now if we execute again this, all right, let's say 55 not even. Perfect. Now let's say that this line of code we want to use in multiple files or multiple places. So instead of writing this again and again, this let's say 5 line of code, why not to convert that into a package, and then that package we will call and use during the runtime. What does it mean that? So it means that we will just write this code one time and we will use this multiple time, and that can be only possible using the function. So function means you write a code once and use it whenever you want multiple times. So it basically save your time to reduce your complexity in the code, and as well as it will design your code and keep it clean. It is also reduce the error, because if you're writing same code again and again multiple times, maybe you encounter some error while writing. It also saves the time and you can use this multiple time as well. So the analogy is write once and use multiple. So now let's try to understand that how we define any function. In Python, function always start with def keyword. So this is the keyword. Whenever you write this, you are going to define any function. After def, we write some name over here. Name means that is the name of your function. Okay, and then we use this parenthesis. Under the parenthesis, we define some of the parameters, or you can say arguments, that you want to pass into the function to execute. So for example, you want to pass this user input into this. So I'll take this user input and I'll pass over here. Perfect. And then I will take this line of code and I will pass over here. Perfect. And I will take this over here. Perfect. So what it will do, or we may not write over here, that is not important. So what is doing over here, I'm passing one parameter. That parameter can be a also, and it's not mandatory that we should write always username inside that, because this is working as the local variable. Local variable means this name is only called inside this function. Understand, right? For example, let's say you have some name inside your home, like your mom, your dad, or your family member call you with certain name, but outside in your school, in your college, you have certain name that is known for everyone, even your that name even known in your home as well. So similarly, this is your local variable, which is our parameter, which can be exceed or accessed by the inner codes. Okay, perfect. Now you just execute this. There is some problem over here. Print expected the indentation. Okay, it should be, there should be indentation over here, and this also follow the indentation. I will explain you why we need a def over here, what is the meaning of this name and all those. First, let me execute this. Now we have defined this template. This is called a template or function. This will work as per its requirement and as per this whatever we have defined over here. Now we will call this. So I'll call this name over here. Perfect. And under this we need to pass certain number. So let's say I'll pass over here 45, and you execute this, not even. If you execute, let's say over here 44, it is 55. Why it is 55? I've given 44, right? It should give you the, okay, actually it's user input over here. It should be A. 44. Okay. So like this is going to perform. Now let's try to understand each and every line of code over here. As I said, this one is your keyword which used to create any function. This is the name of the function. You can write anything over here. This is the name of function. You can write anything over here. You can write anything. Here you can write X, Y, Z, or your name. Based upon that name will be used to call that function. Okay, and over here this bracket is important, this parenthesis is important, otherwise this will not perform as a function, it will give the error. So that is important. After that, this argument is important, or you can say parameter, because if you don't pass the parameter, how this is going to execute? For example, you want to enter a 44 to check that that number is even or not. So this work as a placeholder. So as soon as you call this function, this 44 will get assigned to your A, and this A will pass to your if condition to perform this further execution. So this is called parameter. If you don't give this, you cannot pass any value inside your function. So it is very much important that if you want to pass any value inside your function, you must define the parameter. Okay, let's say if you have defined one parameter, and if you want to pass, let's say more value, it will give the error to you. So if you want to pass multiple value, you pass the multiple parameters over here. Okay, so right now A is one parameter which is taking this 44. After that, we have this indentation to follow, because this piece of code, let me clean this first. this piece of code, whatever is here, it should follow the indentation of the function. As in the for loop, whenever we write for loop, let's say for I in a range of 1 comma 100, and after that the second line of code we start from here. It means that this line of code is a child code of this for loop, right? So this indentation is important over here to understand that this line of code will only execute when this is going to execute first. Similarly, in this, these are the child code of this function, and this must follow the indentation. Once you have this dots over here, you always follow the indentation for this. Again, for this, if we have this indentation, means this will execute once this is true, right? Again, you have this indentation. So, and for this else, you have this indentation. So first is def reserve word keyword to start the function, then name of the function, name of function, perfect. Then bracket, under the bracket you write the parameter. After that you write this double dot, and then you follow the indentation, and your next line of code start from here. Next line of code, you should follow this. If you have multiple line, then next line, next line of code, and over here next line of code, next. And once your function is defined, then you call that function under certain name. Let's say over here you call that name using the name of function, perfect. And you pass the argument over here, whatever the parameter you have defined. So this is how you define a function. This is very simple, right? Now let me show you very simple code over here. So what I will do, let's say define def hello. I'm not passing anything over here. I'm just writing over here result equal to I am from function. Okay, and then you just print this result. That's all. Why this is okay? There should be a bracket, guys. That's why it is giving a. Just pass the uh, print over here. Now you call this. Let's say I'm writing x equal to hello. I am from function code. Perfect. Over here, if you see that I am not passing any parameter. Why? Because I don't need any value over here to execute this code. This is basically predefined or hard-coded, you can say. And that's why I am not passing any argument over here, because parameter is not there. Or you can say I'm not passing any value over here because parameter is not there, right? So if you pass, let's say, any value, it is going to give the error, because hello takes 0 positional argument, but 1 was given. So it means that there is no argument over here. Then why you are passing the value over here? So you can call this function anytime to print the same response. So you no need to define it again and again. So let's say that if I'm going to execute this line of code multiple times, then also the answer will be same, right? So this way you can save the time of writing a same code. You can just write under the function, and you can call that function again and again whenever you want, and whichever place you want to return the same response, guys. Okay, so now let's execute the next line of code. That is find the area of circle using the function. So to find the area of any circle, what do you need? You have a pi and r square into radius into radius. Right? Over here def and circle area, and you pass over here r, and that r should be integer. I'm giving one notation that the r should be integer, so that whenever you call this function it will show you that it is an integer. It's not mandatory that your radius always should be integer, it should be float as well, but I want to keep this as an integer. Okay, and now area equal to pi, that is 3.14 into r into r, sorry, into r. Okay, and then print over here area of circle is area. You write over here 1 f straight. Now you call this circle area over here, and then you pass, let's say 56. Your area of circle is 5846.04. So just write over here 23, and you have this line of code. Now we'll understand the difference between print and return, because generally we use the return with the function. So let's try to understand that. What I'll do, I'll just write over here def, let's say sums, and you will just 1 comma b, sorry, a comma b. Okay, so we'll define one function def and sum a comma b, and over here we just write result equal to a plus b, and then we'll just write print a result. Perfect. Now we'll take one value, let's say x equal to sums, and we just pass 10 comma 20, so it will give you 30 over here. Now if you try to access what is the value inside your x, you will find none over here. Why? If you check the type of this, if you check the type of your x, it will be none type. What does it mean that? And why we use return over here instead of print? Whenever we use return over here, and with return we never use this. Okay, whenever you return over here, it is going to assign the value to x, and then if you check the in type of x, it is int, and if you try to print your x, it is 30. So now the question is, whenever we write the same code with the print function, try to execute this type of x, we get a none, but whenever we use return, it is going to give the int and x is 30. So what is the main difference over here between the print and return, and in which case we should use the return and which case we should use the print? To be very honest, whenever we write any production grade code and any code for, let's say, building any kind of application, we never ever use a print. Print is just to display the result in the console. It never hold and return. It means that print is just to display. Whenever we try to write a multiple line of code, 1000 line of code or 2000 line of code, in that we use just print to see if codes are doing well. So it will give the value in your console, it will return the output in a console to validate. But for the execution purpose, to pass one value from one code to another code, or let's say one function to another function, one variable to another variable, we use the return. Is clear? So over here, if you see that I have written def sum of sums a comma b as the argument, result equal to a plus b, and in the return I have mentioned over here result. So as soon as you take one variable and try to call this function, So this function you pass 10 and 20. So this 10 and 20 will pass to this a, this 10 will pass to a, and this 20 will pass to b. And after that it will come to this line of code where a plus b equal to result. So in the result it will assign the addition of these two, which is 30. Perfect. So whenever you write return 30, it means that you are returning that value to this x. Okay, then this x will become 30, and the type of this x is nothing but integer, which is over here and over here. Now same line of code if you see below, same line of code if you see over here, we have same sum, we have sums, right? Under the sums we have parameter a and b. So whenever you call this sums under using this variable and pass this 10 and 20, so a will be 10 and b will be 20. Perfect. It will come over here. So 10 plus 20 equal to 30, which will pass to this, and then it will try to print that. So as soon as you assign this sums 10 comma 20, it is not going to assign any value to the x. It will just print in the console, and it is return to this value none. So that's why your x have nothing over here. So you understand, print we use to display the result, or you can say output in the console or terminal. It is never used to return any function output to any variable or function, because it return none. It return none type. It means that it has no capability to pass the execution result of your function to any other function or any variable. It just to display the result. That's all. Hope it is clear, guys. And over here, if you see the return is used to pass the execution output to the next function called variable. Next function called variable or function. Perfect. So this is how both are different. Now let's try to understand how we can use, let me first terminate this all. So now let's understand function inside the function or function calling inside the another function. So I'll write over here def, and let's say over here user sum. Perfect. A comma b, and it is going to return, let's say a plus b. Okay, and then over here def, let's say calculate, and over here let's pass a comma b. That will be assigned to my this user sum. So over here result equal to, or let's make this some x comma y, so you not get confused between your user sum and the calculate. And over here you call this function user sum, and you pass x comma y to this, and then return result. Okay, now let's say x equal to, I'm going to write, or let's say right here result equal to, I'm passing over here calling this function calculate, and I'll pass 10 comma 20. And once you print this result, you will get the 30 over here. So how it is happening over here? I am calling this function calculate under this result and assigning the value 10, 20 over here. This 10, 20 will get assigned to X and Y. So once it is under the X and Y, it will come to the next line of code over here. This X and Y will pass to the user sum function, and under the user sum function it will reach to this line of code where it will try to assign this X and Y, that is 10 and 20, to A and B, and A will be 10 and B will be 20, and after that it will return A plus B, which is 30, right? And after once it return 30, it will assign to this result, and this result will return 30 to this result, and this result is printed over here 30. So if you write print over here, instead of, let's say, instead of return, if you write print, then what will happen? Let's try to see that. Now execute this, but you have none over here because type of your result is none. Why? Because it is, this user is printing 30, which is giving over here directly under this. It is not assigning any value to this result, which is this variable, which is assigning this function. Clear, guys? Now let's try to understand one more function that is called another method. I'm just writing any name, guys. Another method where I'm passing A, I will take from user, and during the runtime, and B I assign 10 over here itself, and then print, let's say, A plus B. Now another method I'll call over here, and I'll pass only 6, so it's 16. But if I pass 6 comma, let's say 100, and 106, so in this case one of the argument is predefined, but if you don't define, if you don't again assign the value, it is not going to give the error. Okay, you will pass first time as a 6, and it is going to return you as a 16 because B is already defined 10. But if you define again over here, let's say 100, it means that it will override 10 and it will assign B as a 100, guys. Okay, and it is not mandatory that, let's say if I'm writing 100 comma 6, what does it mean? What does it mean? Which value is A over here? Which value is B? Want to see that? Let's write over here A comma B as well. And let's try to execute this. So your A is 100 and B is 8. Perfect. Now if you write over here, let's say B equal to A, B equal to 100 and A equal to 8, then so your A is 8 and B is 100. If you want, I can just pass this as a F string, and I can show you that as well. So let's make this here A equal to A and B equal to, what is the error? Okay, I did not close this over here, sorry. Now see this. So A equal to 8, B equal to 100. Okay, now, and if you don't define this anything over here, then your execute this. A is 100, B is 8. Now what I'll do, I'll copy this function over here and I'll define over here B equal to and A equal to. So A is 8, B is 100. Let's say over here I have defined first A and then B, but I'm passing over here while calling this function first B and A. So it will not going to throw the error because order is not mandatory. It's just that whatever the parameter is there, you have to pass during the runtime value to that. Now let's say that I'm not passing to A anything. What will happen? You will get the error because you are not passing anything. Now what I'll do, that I will pass, let's say A equal to this. You will not find any value error because B is already defined over here 10. Now what I'll do, that I'll not mention anything. I'll just pass one value 100. So it will by default take A 100 to A and B is by default. But as soon as you write B equal to 100, it is going to create an error, throw the error because you have not defined the a, which is important over here, which is not defined during the function creation as well. Perfect. I think you understand this. Now, next function or next code is that find the sum of even number from 1 to 20. So def sum of even number, and over here what you're going to pass, we are not going to pass any value. Okay, over here let's say for I in range of 1,21, and if I modular division by 2 equal to 0, in that case what I'm going to do that first let's say result over here, result equal to 0 I'm taking. So what I will do, I will assign over here result plus equal to I, and at the end I'm going to print your result outside the for loop because it is going to print multiple times. Then if I'll call this sum of even number, you have 110 over here. Perfect. Whenever you call this, it is going to give. But we know that function is something that we call during the runtime, we pass the values. Function is only for 1 to 20 because we have already given the range over here. But we want to find we want to create a function that should be dynamic. For any certain range, it should give the sum of even number. So for that, how we can do that? Right over here, def, and call this sum of even number. Let's say directly from here. I'll copy this part from here. Okay. Not pass this, and I should have a over here. Then it should be if your a modular division by 2 is equal to 0, in that case return a, otherwise return 0. Because if a is not an even number, and if you don't write return 0, means it is going to return none, and you will find the error in your next line of code. So that is important. So total, I will show you that as well. Total equal to 0, guys. Okay, then for I in range of 1,51, perfect. And then over here result equal to I'm going to call this function over here, and under that I'm passing my I. Perfect. And then under I'm using this total to sum for all the even number which is assigned to this result. Perfect. And then print over here my total value of all the even number, that is 650 from 1 to 50. So now if you want to remove this, you will get the error. Why? Because see, for the even number, whenever there is an even number, then is going to return that number by a. But whenever there is a number is odd, in that case it is going to return none. If you want to see, let's see that return print result. See, it is going to return none over here. Let's comment this line of code. Now you will see none. 2 is an even number, so it is going to return 2 over here. Again, for 3 is a odd number, so it is going to return none because I'm not passing anything over here. So as soon as you pass over here out of this if condition return 0, then what will happen, for every odd number it is going to return 0. So 0 addition of any number, it is same number, right? So 1 plus 0 is 1, 100 plus 0 is 100. So that's why for all the odd number I'm making this 0, and for all the even number I'm returning that even number into this result, and which I'm using over here to sum and save into my total variable, which is 650 is coming. Perfect, guys. I hope it is making sense how you can make it dynamic also. Now, next line of code will understand how a function can return a function also. Function is not always return the value, guys. Function or also return the function. So now let's try to understand how function return a function also. So I'll write def function 1 and I'll pass a comma b over here, and let's say result equal to a plus b, a plus b. Perfect. Now I'm defining one more function, and over here let's say it is function 2, and I'm not passing any argument to this. And over here my result, let's say result equal to a into b. Okay, and then this function should return this result over here, and the main function, that is outside function, my outside function should return this function. Okay, so this is how it is. Now I'll take one x equal to this function 1. I will try to call under this. I'll pass 2 comma 3. Okay, now if you check your x, it is a function. It means that your x is a function, it is not any value. So what we'll do that, I'll take one y equal to, and I'll call this x using the bracket because it's a function, right? So now if you see y, you have a 6 because 2 into 3, 6. Now if you make, let's say, division, try to execute this. 0.66. Perfect. Now if you want that, you can call this, you can return function as well as this result also. So call this over here. Now x, if you see, it is a still function and it is returning 5 also. See over here, 5, right? So if you check the type of this your function, sorry, x, it is a tuple, but x of 0 is function and x of 1 is integer. Perfect. So under this definition, whatever we have defined the function over here, it is returning a function and result both. And this x is a tuple now, which is having a function and a value, that is an int. So how you can access this? So let's say that I want to access the function only. So what I'll do that, x of 0, and I'll call this function, and then check over here, or maybe you find that is the same answer. So let's make this square of a square of b. Now let's try to execute each line of code. 8, right? 2 to the 2 to the 2, so 2 to the 4 to the 8. So like this you can first get your function x of 0, and then I'm passing this because whenever you call any function you need to use the parenthesis, right? Now I want to access this tuple. So how we can do that? So over here you just write x of 1 and you have a 5 over here. Perfect. Now if you check the type of your ax, you have a tuple, and type of x of 0, it is a function, and type of x of 1, it is a integer. Perfect. But it is also that important, let's say that if you want to this function and integer into two different variables, so you can directly use over here x comma y. Now the x is function, okay, and you can directly call this x, you will get 8 over here, and if you call y, you will get the 5 over here. So this is how a function can return function and value both. So this is how a function can return function and value both. So this is all about this video, guys. I hope you have enjoyed and you have understood what is the meaning of function and why do we use that into the Python. So if you found it interesting, please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, and also share with others. Let others to also learn the Python coding. So see you in the next video. Thank you so much.